Gladiator is extremely overrated. Just a heads up, there's a lot of spoilers. There's a lot of spoilers. I'm filming this part of the video after I filmed everything else, but I spoil basically everything that happens in the movie. So if you haven't seen this yet, you should have seen this by now, man. It came out the year 2000. We're in 2021 right now. Like, this is one of the most famous movies of all time. What are you doing? Why have you not seen it? Why are you watching this video? Anyway, just watch the review. I watched this movie not last night, but the night before that, and I was so underwhelmed by this film. I mean, it's literally in the IMDb top 50 films of all time, like 50 films of all time. So this has to be like all-time great, amazing. And I walked away from it just not super impressed, and more so than just walking away from it not super impressed, I wasn't impressed during the entire duration of this movie. Anyway, let's hop into the details and see, where this movie went right and where it went wrong. Firstly, the first thing I would like to talk about is the characters. And not just the characters, but of course the actors playing the characters. The main character is Kurt Russell, and he won the Oscar for Best. And that's the other thing about this movie. This movie won 5 Oscars, including Best Picture. Like, it won Best Film, and it won Best Actor for Kurt Russell. And to be honest, he's good. Is that his name? Kurt Russell? I think it's Kurt Russell. I could be mixing him up with a different actor. But anyway, he gives a really good performance, and he's great in the movie. And he plays this hero character who's this very noble hero who is, of course, thrown into a really awful situation. He has his family murdered. It's a very classic setup, really noble, great, strong hero put in bad situation. It feels like Rocky or John Wick or like a bunch of other movies with that setup, and that setup is one of the reasons. And the thing about this character, the main character, Kurt Russell's character, Gladiator, Maximus is the name of the character, but he calls himself Gladiator at one point in the movie, which is why the movie's called Gladiator, I guess. He's just flawless. That is so uninteresting, to have the main character of your movie just literally be without flaw. He literally doesn't have a flaw. He's fantastic at fighting. He's noble. He cares about his family. He's loyal to Caesar. He turns his back on evil when evil reaches out its hand and says, hey, join the dark side. He says, no way, Jose. And he's just flawless throughout the whole movie, and that's really not interesting at all. To create contrast with the extremely noble, gooder than good hero, they create the most evil, slimy, nasty villain character, which is Commodus, Commodos, I believe, who ends up murdering, and these are spoilers, of course, murders his father, who is Caesar, because after he learns that Caesar is not going to let Commodus have the throne after Caesar dies, and Caesar's about to die. And Commodus, there's a scene in the movie that's so on the nose where he says, Father, you told me of these 4 virtues, and he lists off the 4 virtues. It's like bravery, blah, blah, and a couple others, I don't remember off the top of my head. And then he's like, I have none of those virtues. He straight up is like, I have none of those 4 virtues, but I do have these virtues in these ways. And he's just a slime ball, and he's awful. He is just a one-dimensionally evil villain. That's what I'll say. He's just painted as a villain in the beginning of the movie, and that's just who he is. He's a bad guy, and he's not. These are very one-dimensional characters. I'm not gonna lie. Both of the main characters in this movie, which are Joaquin Phoenix's character, Commodus, and Kurt Russell's character, or no, Russell Crowe, that's his name, Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's character, Maximus, they're very one-sided, and there's a very obvious contrast going on. It feels like a lot of other movies, but with less nuance, and it just feels pretty shallow and in the development and the way these characters were written. Story, like I previously mentioned, like I quickly mentioned, is it feels classic. You have evil rises to power and good rebels against the evil. In this case, Maximus rebelling against Commodus, and then as a result, Commodus tries to kill Maximus, but Maximus is an overpowered boss character, and he just can't die, and he's fantastic at fighting. And of course, they kill his family, his wife, and his child, which is tragic and admittedly extremely sad. But then at the end of the movie, once again, spoilers, at the end of the movie, he's reunited with his wife in this really corny, like, afterlife scene where they put, like, no work into making it, like, poetic and beautiful. It's just straight up, like, the afterlife just looks like the place where they live, but with a different tint in the color. And that's another thing about this movie, which is not relating to the characters or the stories. The editing, I'm not a big fan of the editing in this movie. Like, the movie has, like, a lot of the fight scenes are, the camera's super close up and it's super claustrophobic, which is the worst way to show these fight scenes because I can barely tell what's going on. Also, there's a lot of slow motion, especially in the first 15 minutes of the movie, the first opening fight, the opening massacre. What is going on? The slow motion looks terrible. The frame rate, it's not like smooth slow motion. This came out in 2000. It's just slow-mo with awful frame rate. And some of the fights, admittedly, in the movie are very good and well made, but some of the fights just aren't, and just really aren't that great. Also, you know, when you're not having the Gladiator, when you're not having the fights in the Coliseum, the movie can get a little bit dull. Like, all the in-between spots don't work as well. They try to build this relationship between Russell Crowe's character and another gladiator in the ring who actually does end up surviving at the end. Once again, spoilers. This whole video is spoilers. But hey, I have to say, just all of the elements of this movie in a way don't work. They all do work in a way, and then at the same time, every single element of this movie has something that doesn't work, from the story to the characters to the actual making of the film to the actual filmmaking, I guess even the directing. It's just, I don't love this movie, man. If I were to give it a score, and you know, I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's an okay, good movie. I can see the appeal with the good overcoming evil, but to me, it's just so one-sided in how powerful the main character is. It doesn't feel like there's a super strong sense of stakes by the end of the movie, even though he does die. And you know, it's corny. The afterlife stuff is corny, and the characters are just very one-sided. And I don't love this movie, and I'd give it a 3 out of 5 star rating if I were to give it a rating. It's not terrible, guys. It's not a bad movie. It's really not a bad movie. It's just literally one of the most overrated. It's possibly the most overrated movie ever made. I might be able to make that claim. I might be able to say this is the most overrated movie, because top 50 films of all time, come on, guys. This is not worthy of that title at all. It's definitely not worthy of Best Picture over Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That movie is awesome. That is a really great movie. And it lost to this at the Oscars. Man, I don't know what people are thinking. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you love this movie, please tell me why in the description. Classic tale of good versus evil. Once again, I see the appeal. It just doesn't have enough depth or substance for it to be a really great movie. Once again, it's also, I didn't touch on this, but it's a revenge movie, and that's been done 100,000 times, and there's nothing original about the revenge tale in this, except for, you know, you can empathize with the main character, and you really do feel angry at one point in the movie for the murder of his wife and son. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day. I rambled a bit, but that's okay.